RTX 3000 series is coming. Hey guys, welcome to Frame Chasers. Today we're going to be doing I don't want to say a rumor video because I don't want to go down the road of the whole leaker rumor video niche, because I feel like that whole thing is totally pointless. It doesn't help anybody by speculating and rumoring. But I think that we're only, 4 days away from the NVIDIA release. And all the specs, rumors, and things that we need to know are kind of confirmed now. So now I think it's actually worth talking about now. And we're going to talk about it in terms of whether you should buy now, wait, what kind of performance gains can we expect from the numbers that we're seeing. Actually, well, let's just jump right into that. I'm going to pull up the numbers of what the confirmed numbers are for next gen. Alright, so these are the specs that have been rumored for a while. Videocards.com just confirmed these, so this is what we're talking about here. 3090, 3080, 3070. There's no 3080 Ti at this point, but if you go to videocards.com, sorry, not videocards.com, if you go to Tech Power Up, they have one. There's definitely going to be one depending on what Big Navi comes around with, but it's going to have 12 gigs of RAM, half of this, and a few less CUDA cores. Actually, I'll bring it up right now. I'll show you. So the 3080 Ti eventually, I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but this sounds about right. 12 gigs, same memory bandwidth, just a few less cores to segregate the product, and that's about it. But let's go back to what's actually releasing in a few days. These two. This 3090 here is going to be. It's going to be its own animal here in its own bracket. That's a hell of a lot of CUDA cores. So this we can't really compare it to anything because it has so many more cores than the previous generation. But the RTX 3080 here, this CUDA core number is exactly the same as a 2080 Ti. The 3070. This is the exact same number as an RTX 2080. So kind of one tier down gets the same number. But the interesting thing that we can do here, we can check to see what kind of IPC or architectural improvements that they're getting here. So let's do a quick little math. All right, so we got some Time Spy extreme leaked benchmarks here. These are apparently also confirmed, so that's why we're talking about them. The 3090 apparently scores around 10,000 in Time Spy Extreme. Quadro, we're going to ignore. We have no idea. And the 3080 apparently scores around 8,500. Whoa, that's weird. Yeah, 10,000 for the 3090, 8,500 for the RTX 3080. I don't know what the hell this, I don't know what the hell they're doing here with this simulated number. 2080 Ti stock, 6,500. But here's the magic that we're going to be doing here. We're going to take a look at the RTX 3080, this bad boy here, and compare it against my own 2080 Ti that I have. And the reason that we're going to be doing that is because we can pull some interesting numbers here from this. So, let's say this 320-bit bus, 10 gigabytes, GDDR6X. We're not sure if it's going to be 19 or 21 gigabits a second, but let's just go with 19 gigabits a second. So 320-bit divided by 8 times 19 gigabits. That gives us a memory bandwidth of 760 gigabytes a second. Now, let's do what the 2080 Ti, mine has. 352 divided by 8 times 16 gigabits a second. So the RTX 3080 is going to have about 50 gigabits or 50 gigabytes per second more bandwidth. What is that? Times 1.1. Not even 10%. 700 times 1.08. 8%. Okay. So in its this is not overclocked obviously, but in its stock form, the RTX 3080 is going to have about 8% more memory bandwidth with 1 less gigabyte of RAM. So let's see here. If we calculate, if we say the RTX 3080 scores 8500 in Time Spy Extreme, my 2080 Ti scores 8050 in it. 8050 times 1.08. That doesn't seem right. Damn. Maybe the gains are all down to memory bandwidth. That's interesting. What I was gonna say was, if my 2080 Ti scores 8050 and that's at 2190 megahertz. Actually, let me write this down in Notepad. Better visual. Paint. Good old Microsoft Paint. We're going back to the old Paint. Brushes. 2080 Ti. Oh my god, I am god awful at this. Mine runs at 2190 on the core and 8000 on the memory, which is 16. The rumored 3080 is supposed to run at 2100 boost. And what's 19 gigabits per second? Actually, we have to go for the bandwidth number. Sorry, my bad. So we'll go 700 gigabytes a second. This one's 750 gigabytes a second. GBS. So this one, so what is the performance difference between, so 8500 divided by 8050? 5.5, we'll say 6% performance difference between these two. 6% performance difference between these two cars. Exact same CUDA core count. I guess mine would clock a little higher, but there's, we can probably overclock this, no problem. But the performance gain that we're looking at here, IPC-wise, might actually just be nothing. There might be no IPC gain. It might be all just to the GDDR6 that they're throwing on there. I wonder if there's a way I could test that, actually. Huh, interesting. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna pause the video for a sec. I'm gonna go upstairs, and I'm going to crank my 2080 Ti to 8200. I know I can bench at 83. Actually, I'll go 8300 and I'll be back. I'm going to go 8300 and I'm going to see if my score increases at all in proportion to it. If it doesn't, then the performance increase is not coming from the bandwidth. If it is, it's coming from my PC. I'm going to be back. I'm super curious about this now. I'm going to test it. All right, I'm back. So I actually just ran my 2080 Ti at 8300. And that was a memory bandwidth of 730. And I actually, what I scored before at 8000 was 8050. And now I just scored 8112. No, sorry, 8117. So 70 more points from memory. So I guess the 2080 Ti is actually memory bottlenecked. That's really, well, can't crank it any more than that. But man, that's interesting. So if you take this data into account, the IPC gain, just a rough estimate here, 8500 divided by 8117. Now we're looking at 5%. So we can kind of safely assume, I would ganter, that the IPC improvement from Turing to Ampere is about 5%. Which, honestly, that makes sense. I wasn't gonna assume Turing 2 Ampere amp 5% IPC increase. So yeah, to be honest, that's about what I was expecting. They didn't like Nvidia didn't really have to increase their IPC by very much to beat Nvidia. Sorry, to beat AMD. All they literally had to do was just like turn off their power limits, and like that's it. That's literally what they're doing. I swear. Like the only reason my 2080 Ti can boost that high is because it's pretty much has the power limits turned off. That's literally it. And now it's gonna perform on par with the 3080 because they're the exact same. The 2080 Ti and the 3080 are pretty much the exact same card in terms of CUDA core count and memory bandwidth, even almost. It's just the 3080 has 5% IPC increase and no power limit. So it's almost like we don't. But the thing is, though, okay, I'm gonna jump back here quickly. The thing is, though, we don't know the RT performance gain. That's gonna be where the majority of the difference is. So I don't want to say that Nvidia got lazy. Maybe lazy is the wrong, but they definitely took all their R&D and threw it into ray tracing. What happened with going that route? So let's say when Turing came out and they're working on Ampere, they are like, okay, we're doubling down, and Jensen said this. He's like, we're going to be doubling down on ray tracing. So they had about 1 to 2 generational advantage over the 5700 XT, like Navi. They had about a 1 to 2 generational advantage there in terms of power efficiency and core clock speed and IPC and all that, right? So their heads probably decided, okay, guys, we have enough rasterization performance. We don't have to work on that. Work on getting RT better. That's it. So they probably spent the last 2 years refining DLSS and RT, and they didn't do shit with rasterized. Then the rumors of Big Navi come around, and AMD has kind of been focusing on the opposite, where they're not really going for too much of RT. They're going for power efficiency and rasterized. But you can tell by what's in the consoles, right? 52 CUs in the Xbox, and like the thing draws 200 watts. So Nvidia went RT and AMD went rasterized power efficiency. So what that did, it kind of put Nvidia in a little bit of a pickle where they're like, we doubled down on RT. We didn't make any rasterized IPC improvements. We didn't get the memory clocks any, or the core clocks any higher because we're using a Samsung node. It's literally the exact same as Turing. So they always had that one ace in the hole of removing power limits. That was the ace. Like, that's all they had to do to stay one generation ahead of AMD. In comes Micron with GDDR6X memory. So you got remove power limits, increase memory bandwidth without actually having to redesign the chips to use HBM or anything like that. And you got, so their trump card's been played now. I don't like the Ampere trump card of GDDR6 and increased power limits. That card has been played now. They can't do that again for Hopper or the RTX 4000 series, whatever that. They can't do that again. That trump card has been played now. I think what Nvidia is banking on is by the time RTX 4000 comes out, let's say in 2 or 3 more years or whatever, ray tracing is going to be so prevalent, or maybe dominant is the right word, that AMD is going to be so far behind on ray tracing that they're going to have to throw all the rasterized performance increases out the window and start focusing on RT. Then they're going to be 2 generations behind again. So they caught up in one area. NVIDIA trump carded it to move one up. And then 2 years from now, 3 years from now, when RT is going, they're going to be way over here. And then AMD's back where they started. That's literally what is going to happen here. And it's not like we've hit a wall with rasterized performance, but what can happen is if RT becomes so good, the RT cores can offload so much of the work that the rasterized engines and SMs are doing. So if all the lighting and shadows and reflections are done on the RT cores, all that power is now freed up, which then even moves NVIDIA further ahead. So that's why I think they're banking on RT becoming the dominant technology in the next couple of years here. But yeah, very, very interesting numbers here. Very interesting from my comparisons here, just based on my own card. It's interesting that they made the CUDA count numbers exactly the same as the previous generation. Like why would they do that? That's the part that doesn't make any sense. Why would they make the CUDA numbers the exact same? It must be an architectural thing where they're like, we know that, like if the SMs and the CUDA core numbers are configured the exact same, maybe that reduces engineering time or something. Like maybe they already know that works. They don't have to do anything but release power limits, right? Let's go back to my display capture here. Let's check the RTX 3070. So if we know that the IPC performance, this is pretty much going to be a 2080 Super. Or maybe in between a 2080 Super and maybe a little bit better, because it's going to have the faster RAM. But it has less CUDA cores than the 2080 Super. And the 2080 Super can already go to, what is it, 18 gigabits per second memory. Like, that memory is fast, man. Like, it's the 30, yeah, it depends what they price the 3070 at. Let's check this out here. What is the 2080 Super priced at right now? $1,000. That can't be right. Okay, here we go. 740. What the hell is all that shit? Okay, 2080 Super 740. So if man, I don't know about that. If they price the 3070 maybe at $600, that's what I would assume. $600. I mean, if you can get 2080 Super performance for $600, maybe that'll be okay. But people in these two categories of video cards are, well, you know what? I feel like, okay, RTX 3070 and down is going to be disappointing. Like, because you pretty much have a 2080 Super, or a 2080 to 2080 Ti difference in CUDA cores. And that's a massive number here to overcome. I actually have 2080 Super benchmarks already done with power limits removed. I'm going to post those later next week. But the 2080 Super with power limits removed doesn't even come close to a 2080 Ti with power limits removed. So, like, the 3080 is going to be a massive performance jump over a 3070. It's going to be the same performance jump, like, as a 2080 Super but a 2080 Ti with power limits removed. Now, this beast, I have no idea. We literally, this thing is going to be in a complete league of its own. This is the one I'm really excited about. But, so yeah, this one, you pretty much have a 2080 Ti with your power limits removed, plus 5%. This one, you're going to have your 2080 Super power limits removed, plus 5%. So if you're interested in the 3070, check back on my benchmarks next week, and you'll pretty much exactly be able to tell what kind of FPS you're going to be getting here. Now, the question you might have is, if the RTX 3080 performs the same as a 2080 Ti with power limits unlocked, what if you can get the 2080 Ti for cheaper on the used market? Should you get it? It does have 1 gig more of RAM. Man, I don't know. It would have to be quite a bit cheaper, assuming that the 2080 Ti or assuming the 3080 has double the RT performance. That's gonna be too big of a performance jump to quantify in dollars. So the 3080 will be better. It'll also have PCI Express 4, which has other benefits like running in 8 times mode, for example, and HDMI 2.1. So there's a lot of performance increases, not performance, I should say feature increases here on the 3080 over the 2080 Ti that it's gonna have. It might also have a new Ampere like video encoder. I haven't heard anything about that whatsoever, but if there is one, then that would be better too. But so the 3080 over the 2080 Ti, HDMI 2.1, which is the thing I want the most at a next gen. To be honest, I have the 2019 LG OLED, the C9. It has HDMI 2.1, 4K, 120 hertz, HDR with variable refresh, and I can't use it with my 2080 Ti because it doesn't have HDMI 2. That's what I want the most. And we're just gonna have to assume that the RT is twice as good. And if it is, then the 3080. What was the price that it was gonna come out? It was $1,400 for the 3090 and $800 for the 3080. $800. So you're getting a 2080 Ti for a $400 price cut. We're talking rasterized performance only. It's about a $400 price cut. It may seem like more because they removed the power limit themselves, but if you remove your own power limits, it's gonna perform pretty much the same. The main reason I wanted to do this video here is because I feel like I'm in a unique position where I'm keeping track of all the leaks and benchmarks, and I'm really interested in the hardware itself, but I'm also in the unique position of having a 2080 Ti that can clock that fast, that has the Samsung GDDR6 that can clock that fast. I wanted to just put the information out there of what people can kind of expect if they match all the numbers up, right? But if you are a 2080 Ti owner and you're looking for an upgrade, it's not going to be the 3080 for you. It's going to be the 3090, and that's the only card that there is for you. There's pros and cons to that. It does mean you can skip the next generation and wait for RTX 4000. The IPC is exactly the same. So if you have a 2080 Ti, just do the power mod trick, unlock that thing, and crank it to high heaven, and you got your 3080 for 5 cents. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then as soon as those cards come out, I will be benchmarking them, and I'm going to be comparing them. But the thing that we can't predict is how the 3000 series cards will perform power unlocked. As scary of a thought as that is. We know that Nvidia designed the 3000 series cards. Like the PCB is like half the size. The VRMs are all crammed as close as possible to the die. The memory chips are as close as possible to the die. The reason why you cut the distance down between components is literally only energy usage and signal integrity. So if they cut the distance from the VRMs to the die in half, that could save quite a bit of power. Like why are they doing all these things to save on power? Because they unlocked the power limit. And that they're not going to go with HBM because it's too expensive. They had to save power some other way. So they crammed all this crap into a half-size PCB, right? But will we even be able to unlock them? Maybe the power limits are already unlocked and you just do whatever the hell you want. We don't know, right? But let's say the resistor shunt mod works on the 3000 series, and you can like crank those puppies to like 2.3 gigahertz and like 500 watts. Like, I can't wait for that shit. It's gonna be awesome. I know, power consumption is kind of a meme. Like nobody likes power consumption, the toaster, the room heater and all that shit. But like, the reason I loved Vega the most, dude, when you unlocked the power limit on Vega and you water cooled that shit, you could like spike it up to like 420 watts in Fire Strike, and it was like, I remember the first time I saw that, I'm like, holy crap, it's drawing 400 watts, and I was like, I loved it. It literally completely heated up my room, but it was like so awesome. I loved it. I can't wait to just see how much power these things can draw. It's gonna be sick. So anyway, to summarize, the 3070 and down are just gonna be one tier down video cards from what it looks like. 3070 is gonna be a 2080. 3060 is probably gonna be a 2070 Super, etc., down the list. So maybe a 3050 could be like a 2060 Super. That would be pretty cool if the price was right? But the big performance jump is gonna be between that 3070 and that 3080. So if you are on a 2080, 2070 Super looking for an upgrade, that 3080 is gonna be your sweet spot. Or you wait for the 3080 Ti, because that one is going to be a massive performance jump on top of that with the extra 2 gigs of RAM. But if you're a 2080 Ti owner, unlock the power limit and you can totally wait. You can hold off. The only upgrade for you is the 3090, because the only upgrade you're like, even if you get a 3080 and you have a 2080 Ti, all you're getting is an unlocked power limit and more RT performance, which it could be worth it for you, but if you want more rasterized performance, you have to jump up to that 3090. From the numbers that I kind of threw out here, you know what I mean? So you spent $1,200 2 years ago, you're gonna have to spend $1,400 now but I guess that's the price you gotta pay for having top of the line, right? The less you spend, the less you have to spend next time for a bigger upgrade, right? It is what it is. That's pretty much it for this one, guys. I kind of wanted to put that myth to rest where everyone on the internet is telling you to sell your 2080 Ti and that the 3080 is going to be like 30% faster than your 2080 Ti. That's not going to happen. The CUDA core count is the exact same. Sure, the memory is faster, but the performance gain you're getting on the 3000 series is the power limit removal. That's where that 30% comes from, is what I'm telling you. If a stock 2080 Ti runs 6400 in Time Spy Extreme, and mine runs 8120 with a power limit mod, what is that? That's 28%. That's between a Founders Edition and a Founders Edition with a power mod is a 30% difference. So that's what they're giving you with the 3080. That's not an upgrade. All these outlets telling you that to sell your card, and no, man, that's not what you're getting. You're getting the same damn chip on a smaller node and a little bit more power efficient. You know what I mean? It can be pushed a little farther with better RAM. No, the 2080 Ti is going to last a long time. It's going to last much longer than a 1080 Ti just because of the architectural improvements. And DLSS. We haven't even talked about DLSS, but the 2000 series cards are going to have a long lifespan because of DLSS. Yeah, you don't have to sell your cards. If you have a 2080, you have a pretty damn good upgrade path to that 3080 because you're getting a 2080 Ti for $400 less. So that's a good jump. But if you already have a 2080 Ti, you only got one jump, my friend. Sorry to say. Unless you don't want to power limit remove your own cards, then sure, I suppose. But yeah, that it is what it is. Anyway, guys, that's it for this one. I hope that I hope we all learned something today. I wanted to cover this because the 3000 series comes out or not maybe comes out, but the press release is in a few days, and everyone's freaking out about all these numbers. You might be disappointed is what I'm saying. Like, the 2000 series was a good generation, but Nvidia just held it back on purpose. And they did it on purpose so they could focus on RT and DLSS and other things. If you're looking for a rasterized performance increase, that's not what you're getting this generation. You're getting a power limit removal and you're getting an RT bump. That's all you're getting this generation. Anyway, if you liked the video, subscribe. I'm almost to 100 now. I'm trying to get there. If you like the content, like, share, and do all that YouTube SEO stuff for me. And I will see you guys next week when I finish those 2080 Super and 2080 Ti benchmarks. Gonna get those in there before the 3000 series launches. And those are power limit removed numbers, so they're gonna be exactly what you can expect from the 3070 and 3080 in the games that we're benchmarking. So if you're interested in what the 3080 and the 3070 is gonna do, check back next week, check those videos out, because those numbers are going to be pretty bang on what you can expect from what you have now. Anyway, guys, I'll talk to you later. Thanks for coming in, and see you later.